So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time for joining us. I fully appreciate it is 4:30. It's near the end of the day. Everyone's got a fridge that they'd like to get home to. My name's Sam Hart. For those that don't know me, I head up the MMC team at Built Environment Smarter Transformation. I'll be hosting the session today. Just speaking to Dan there, we're delighted to report that we were fully sold out for the Building from England's Woodlands CPD event in London today. That was looking at the suitability of English grown hardwoods for use in MMC typologies such as CLT, glulam. I hope you all had a great time. So everyone at the Building Centre there, welcome. It's really nice to have you here. Secondly, is a slight apology for a somewhat rudimental hosting of the session. We do ordinarily have a full comms team who deliver highly professional webinars on a daily basis on our specific online platform, but due to a variety of different reasons and emergencies, none of them were available. So rather than postponing the event, I'd like to thank my colleague Mark, who's been beavering away in the background, and that's enabled us to host this session on Teams. So from that kind of Teams perspective, super grateful if we could just follow the standard protocols, keep the cameras and mics off, unless you're asking a question. There'll be an opportunity to do that a little bit later on. But in the meantime, if you want to jump the queue for that, feel free to use the chat function, and Mark will collate those questions for us. And we've got some colleagues who I'll introduce shortly who are with us for that. Finally, we are recording the session, and we might use elements of it for dissemination later on, and discussion stuff. So if anyone's got any issues with that, if you let us know in the chat function, and we'll organise things accordingly. So to get us started, we have a brief video that we prepared that will give us all an idea of why we're here, essentially. And I already need to stop sharing because I haven't included the sound. 2 seconds. Right. Here we go. Can you hear me again, Mark?
Yep, got you.
Grand. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of background and wasn't too laggy. I have no idea. I hope it wasn't, but I hope it gave you a bit of an idea as to how we've got here. So I'm delighted to be joined today somewhere in and amongst the various screens by members, both of my team from BEST, but also Matt and Jill from Ecosystems Technologies, who are the industry partner on that project, Angus Law from University of Edinburgh's fire safety engineering team, and then we've got the full complement of the ENU experts down in London. So if needs be, we can chin them for responses where necessary. So in terms of a bit of background of the specific Transforming Timber project, it was a £1.5 million project funded by Innovate UK, with the two main outcomes being the UK's first homegrown mass timber home, which you saw there in the video, located at BEST, and that was delivered for demonstration at COP26. And the business case for the UK's first homegrown mass timber manufacturing facility. The business case itself was developed via around about 50 different reports, looking at everything from supply chain development, life cycle analysis, post-occupancy evaluation, structural fire testing, all of these different elements that would go into that business case. And in turn, part of the project was to commence the commercialization of homegrown mass timber via some living lab projects. So commercial developments delivered by Ecosystems Technologies, engineered via the project, but that were, for example, fully censored, so they could undertake that post-occupancy evaluation. In addition to having feedback loops to the digital twins, again, to validate the original computer modeling and ensure that the buildings were actually performing in line with how they said they would. And then through this, obviously, word starts to spread. We were approached by the Department for Education and their £4.5 million Gen Zero schools project, looking at how we could support their platform designs in terms of a homegrown mass timber offering, as opposed to needing to rely on imported material. So again, via Ecosystems and the Transforming Timber project team, we delivered the first modular classroom, which was demonstrated at COP26, and Ecosystems have gone on to develop the full sandpit sports hall across at MTC in Coventry, and I believe there are future projects will be coming through very shortly in terms of delivering the next elements of the Gen Zero projects. And then through that, the project team has been working very closely with the likes of the Scottish Forest and Timber Technologies Industry Leadership Group, COM4, TDUK, STA, Scottish Forestry, DEFRA, and through those very strong collaborations, we've begun focusing, rather than kind of exclusively on the homegrown mass timber side of things, it's actually now looking at the greater adoption of timber in construction. So not losing sight of the homegrown element, we have looked to transition the online platform and broaden it so that it focuses on literally everything from forest floor to built environment. So if it starts as woods grown in the UK and finishes in the built environment, we want to be able to evidence best practice via this platform as the single source of knowledge. So it is entirely about collaboration. It is about bringing in everyone's knowledge, everyone's expertise, all the existing research, future research, and piling it into this online platform. So it is open. You may have had the opportunity to have a look. I will quickly, I don't want to baby everyone through being able to see our website, but very, very simply laid out. There's the video in case it was lagging before, and then there is the opportunity to look at each of the projects that have been delivered to date using the homegrown mass timber offering. So you can see the COP26 demonstrator. There's information on the Gen Zero project. We spoke about the Building from England's Woodlands project, which is funded by Forestry Commission and had the CPD event running today. There is a variety of existing ENU research that's been undertaken. You may have seen the Beacon of Hope welcoming people in at Queen Street Station in Glasgow, Fettes College classrooms near home. There's a variety of projects that you can look at that have all been delivered using that Transforming Timber project as a springboard, if you like. But we want to make that bigger now. So we want to be able to, as I say, pull in all of the different bits of learning, of expertise, of experience, and just have this as a single source of information. So there's a variety of case studies. There's Wood for Good's life cycle database. There's a selection of different organizations, training and development. And again, via Transforming Timber, we will be developing this. So it's relatively streamlined at the moment, but the idea is as time goes on, we will feed in more and more information. Perhaps some of the most important information on there for those that are interested in the specific homegrown mass timber is we have edited some of the highly technical reports, as I say, of which there were around 50, into some more slightly easier reading, let's say, versions of those documents. If anyone would like to know anything specific around that project and any kind of highly technical information related, whether that's structural or fire or post documents or wherever it might be, there is the opportunity to get in touch with us via the website, and we can have those specific discussions with anyone looking at anything specifically technical. And again, news and events section, you can sign up to to stay in touch with us, so that as and when new information is uploaded onto the site, then you'll be made aware. And similarly, where we have, as standard, where we have particularly technical reports, you may need to leave your details so that when the next generation of that report comes on, we're able to automatically ensure that you have the latest version of that. So I won't spend too long sitting kind of running through individual pages of a website when everyone is perfectly capable of doing that themselves. As I said, we have got all of the members from the original Transforming Timber project online today. So if anyone has any questions that would like to ask anything specific, either around the homegrown mass timber or the wider thoughts of how we would like the website to look, feel, and around collaboration with everyone, feel free to put your hand up, chip in, put it in the text, and we can have a chat. It might be, of course, that no one's got any questions. I don't know, but we'll see. Maybe they're all too busy looking at the website. Dan, I wonder if there's anyone in London that's has any questions or anything specific.
We do have one, yeah. I think the microphones in the room are working, so we can try just with you asking the question from over there. And if that doesn't work, I'll just repeat it parrot style. Okay, far away.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you to Transforming Timber for inviting me along. My name is Jason. I'm at Miller. And my background is very much providing insurance and risk solutions for timber and timber builds in construction, which many of you will probably know is a challenge that the sector faces. And my world, if you like, is helping people to provide the solutions to enable those developments to take place. I think STA was mentioned, the Structural Timber Association. Many of the solutions that the industry requires to be in place, if you like, in order to overcome those hurdles are around things like site security, but also demonstrating combustibility levels. Another one that often is not realised and forgotten about during the process is actually escape of water and preventing water ingress into those timbers, because they can do just as much damage water combined with timber as fire. So it was very much just to say, do feel free to reach out. I'm very passionate about trying to help the industry transform and move towards more timber and traditional build. My background is very much around SIPs and developing processes for developers, contractors and employers. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
You guys want to react to that?
Well, I think, yeah, thanks, Dan, and I'll be definitely make sure you get the gentleman's details for us. But I think one of the from my perspective, one of the important things to realize in this, as far as what we're trying to do here, is it's not just about component innovation. It might be systems, it might be processes, it might be research around the system itself. Anything we can do to make the built environment safer, but more compliant, ensure that whether it's skills for the workforce to ensure that what we're installing is safe, but whether or not there are other ways of doing things. That the whole point of this is it's a new way to, for the UK, it's a new way for us to do things in the UK, and we want to ensure we don't always do things the way we've done them. So if that means, could be anything, couldn't it? Could be new coatings, new way of doing things. But we want to collaborate and innovate with everyone. And yeah, Matt, I don't know if you've got anything around how you. Obviously, you have been manufacturing this as an innovative new solution in the UK, and will have first-hand experience, I expect, of coming up against issues, barriers. I don't know if you want to bring any insight into that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think you touched on it a bit there, Sam. That it's not just about the component; it's about the product. It's about the product as part of a component and the component as part of a system. That's certainly the approach that we've been sort of taking through this project. We're not looking to influence the market by trading in a sort of commodity type environment, but rather looking to see, as well as demonstrating that the homegrown mass timber is commercially viable to produce and manufacture, establish the routes for that into market and originating new routes for that into market by approaching it from a systems perspective. So and some of the Living Lab projects, those early projects, have afforded us that opportunity to demonstrate that. I think the Sandpit project that was delivered at MTC, the Manufacturing Technology Centre, which was taking the Gen Zero prototyping to the next phase, where we looked at the multi-purpose hall and were able to demonstrate with that could be delivered as a panelized solution, but where the panels were fully insulated and clad for the walls and fully insulated and pre-roofed for the roof panels, such that on delivery to site, that danger, that risk around water ingress, is significantly mitigated. And we had the unfortunate opportunity to demonstrate that with the roofs, because we ended up having to deliver in biblical conditions. So much as I'd have preferred not to get quite as soaked as it did in that install, it did afford us the chance to demonstrate that systemized approach could really counter some of those challenges that do cause us challenge for the mass timber solutions going to market. So I think that that's certainly part of the solution. If that's helpful to add in the mix.
Yeah, no, absolutely, thanks. And Angus, it would be a total waste for me not to bring you in here. And it'd be interesting to know, because obviously something that was important to us in the project was not to just come to you and say, here, we've done this, can you make it compliant for us, or can you make it work? It was hopefully to give the opportunity to say, to have some early input to say, these are our experiences to date. We would suggest this, that, and the next thing, but then also opportunity, I guess, to test and get some data and evidence at the back end.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the question about water ingress is it's obviously relevant for the sort of in-service condition, but it's very relevant for the fire condition as well. Obviously that occurs when there's someone trying to put out the fire. I think in the context of this project, actually, certainly in terms of large scale work that we had the pleasure to be involved with. The main achievement was actually preventing the fire service from putting it out. Those of you who work with the fire service, they get very, we invited them along. They came along from Stirling to witness the work that we were doing, and they were really interested, in fact, about the whole system and these kind of new construction technologies, because although they do exist, they're not something that they encounter on a regular basis, and so they were very curious about what we were doing, but actually what it was that the form of construction was, and they were starting to think about, okay, well, how would we approach a fire in a building that was made of timber, of mass timber, and so that was a really interesting conversation, actually, because it set them thinking, it set me thinking that actually, one of the things that, as this, form of construction becomes more and more commonplace, there becomes a piece of work there that, the fire service are going to need support with, to really understand, okay, well, how do we deal with these buildings? Because there will be fires and they will respond to them. But what we don't want to happen is the firefighting activity, as you say, to do more damage than the fire itself. And certainly in cities, we know the fire service respond pretty quickly, so it's highly likely they'll be there. So I think there's a really interesting question there about how do they manage fires in these kind of buildings? How do they minimize the fire damage, but also make sure that there's not a legacy issue from their activities? And that's something we're just, dare I say, dipping our toe in the water to sort of start to think about. But it's something that I think, as Sam said at the start, that's really that's a stakeholder issue, because I know quite a lot about fires, but I don't know very much about fighting fires. So that's where you really have to, the experts have to get involved, and those guys are the fire service. And I think getting them involved early, and having those conversations and thinking about those issues is really positive and a really good idea. And as I say, we managed to get them not to put out our fire. That was the objective. So I was quite satisfied with that. But it does definitely deserve careful consideration.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Angus. I wonder if we have any more questions.
We've got another question down in London.
Oh, fire away, Dan.
And we've one in the chat after that as well.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hi, brilliant, wonderful. Hi, sorry. My name is Felix. I'm an architect based in Brighton. My agenda is basically to use and enable the use of grown materials for as much of everything I do, for my whole career, basically. And it's wonderful for me to see this platform being launched. It looks amazing. Am I right, though, in thinking that it's more, the funding for this particular project is more about providing this online research base for all of the various different stages in the process of getting wood from a forest to a final product and beyond, and less about funding the actual physical systems necessary to produce every one of those stages? Like, so for example, a forester might want to look for some funding to plant some trees at the source stage, at the processing stage. A processor might want to apply for some funding to start a new mill, or at the use stage, you might have somebody wanting to promote a new line of sustainable products using wood. And then at the end of life, you might have somebody looking for funding to do something with energy reclamation or, incineration, that kind of stuff. Is there any funding as part of this program that would actually be earmarked for helping those kind of systems out, rather than just being just a research type thing?
Yeah, sure. Great question. I think in terms of the platform itself, it's about disseminating knowledge, expertise, research, work that's been undertaken, so that if people want to learn more, they have got somewhere that they can come in terms of homegrown resources. I think there's a number of other ways that funding can be talked about. However, that said, it may be that we can add. It might be useful for us to add funding opportunities, for example, to the site here if we think it will add value. One thing I would say is, obviously, as hosting this is best have. That is what I would suggest Built Environment Smarter Transformation do, to connect public sector, industry, academia. We have a certain amount of funding at our fingertips, and in addition, we have ways to leverage in funding via an enormous variety of different sources, whether they are, whether that again is through Innovate UK or Scottish Forestry or wherever that call might come from. We have a huge network that we can call on to find out. I think essentially what we need to do is we need to find out what the project is funding, and then align that project with the right call, with the right criteria, with the right organizations, and that's essentially the job of the innovation team through at Best. So I would suggest, even if it is aligned, let's say, exclusively to forestry planting, well, our stakeholders, who I suspect on this call here today or down in London, we have that range of network that we can call on forestry, we can call on manufacturers, we can call on building inspectors, we can call on maintenance organizer. It's a huge ecosystem of organizations that we link. So my first recommendation would be to approach Best to see what the options are in terms of where a project aligns with funding.
Thank you.
Sam, we have an answer in the room as well. So talking of friends, we introduce also Steve, folks.
I'm here representing Forestry Commission in England. There are extremely generous grants for woodland creation, tree planting available at the moment, and they're supporting a now legally binding target of 260,000 hectares of new woodland creation and planting of trees outside of cities by 2050. So there'll never be a better time to get the raw material in the ground now. And we're also funding timber construction research projects looking at new routes to market for English timber through the Woods Into Management and Innovation Funds. We've just gone online with the second and third round of those funds now. So yes to both of those questions.
Can I pick your brains afterwards?
It involves being in the court, yes.
Yeah, I think with that, Sam, we'll be getting, we have to close out because we're going to get kicked out of here.
Yes.
Yeah, but you guys can absolutely stay online. But I think in line with what's just been said, the premise for Transforming Timber is very much about providing information to catalyse this whole process and effectively leverage in the various funding mechanisms, whether it be private or indeed public, etc., so that we can scale this whole initiative up through a collaborative approach. So that's the fundamental heart of what we're trying to achieve with this. So with that, we'll sign off and leave those online, and then what we'll do is we'll circulate after this the slides, etc., including the link to the new platform. And yeah, we can continue the conversation external to here and then beyond into the courts for a time. Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining us, folks. Great to see you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks very much.
Well, I wonder if we have any questions remaining online.
Question in the chat here. So bear with me. Really excited to see the Transforming Timber website come to life. What do you anticipate the next steps being as part of the Transforming Timber project?
Good question. I think we will look to see where what barriers, what remaining barriers exist in terms of that commercialization of mass timber piece, how we can support ecosystems and various other stakeholders to actually move the manufacturing facility piece forward. And I think then in turn looking at what the complementary products are in terms of other complementary natural fiber products, whether that's maybe wood fiber insulation or other types of natural fiber insulation, which, Matt, I guess are key to delivering a system when you've got that much natural timber holding your building up. The last thing you want to do, I assume, is wrap it in a byproduct of oil and gas.
Yeah, you're certainly correct there. Yeah, and I think moreover, it's using. I think we've demonstrated great success with the sort of initial products that we focused on being, the cross-laminated timber being the obvious go-to at the start of the project, but we were keen to not just look at CLT, but look at Glulam and Nail-Lam in conjunction, so that we could then have a suite of options such that it supported that sort of systems approach. But we should see those absolutely then as we now look to take that into its commercial phase. We should use that success with that earlier work to be a platform for us to now build upon that and bring through other biogenic materials, products, systems, solutions, and there's great scope for that. Wood fibre is an obvious one, but we're not short on opportunities and not short on the need to innovate our way into more use of natural fibre. And very interested to look beyond. Although perhaps it falls slightly out with transforming timber, but from a biogenic perspective, look at straw, look at reed, seaweed, other biophilic products, biogenic products as well. So perhaps we can make a special exception for non-timber based additions into our remit with that. But yeah, and I think key message to always reinforce is that opportunity for collaboration is what will advance that at pace. So hopefully it becomes a platform for widening that collaboration pool and the impacts that come with it.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Any other questions? Nothing else in the chat, Mark?
Nothing else in the chat.
No. Perfect. Okay. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was nice to see everyone. I hope everyone online found that useful. And again, keep heading back to the Transforming Timber site. It will grow very rapidly. It's obviously got to this stage, so we can launch it and get it out there. But there are a number of stakeholders, like, as I say, TD UK, STA, Confor, who are Wood for Good, Scottish Forestry Research, who are going to be supplying us with data and research and statistics, etc., that we'll be able to gap on here. And then obviously future projects that we're working with the collaborators online will also be up. So thanks everyone. Thanks Angus. Thanks Matt. Thanks Jill. Thanks for organising, Mark. Much appreciated. You did a fantastic job in place of the comms team. And yeah, thanks everyone online, and look forward to catching up soon.
Great stuff. Thanks everybody. Take care,
folks.
Bye. Cheers.